So Jal, you have to unmute yourself again.
Okay.
And here is Lynn. Welcome everyone joining us. Live on Facebook tonight. We are just seconds from starting our Shabbat service, so you haven't missed anything.
I know.
Jal, you have to unmute yourself again. And take it away.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. We're going to be singing Adon Olam, which, page 15. Page 15, if you want to follow along. Adon Olam asher malach beterem kol yitzir nivra ve'et nasa b'chetzo kol azai melech shemo nikra Adon Olam asher malach beterem kol yitzir nivra ve'et nasa b'chetzo kol azai melech shemo nikra ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה והוא הווה והוא יהיה בתפארה אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת נשא וחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא והוא אחד ואיש שני והמשילו להכרעה התכלית ולא העוז והנשרה. אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת מסע וחפצו אזי מלך שמו נקרא. בידו כי רוחי ותישן ועירה ועם רוחי גבייתי אדוני לי ולא ירא. אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא ועת נסן וחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא. ואחרי כיפות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה והוא הווה והוא יהיה בתפארה. אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת נסע וחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא. ואחרי כיפות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה והוא הווה והוא הווה בתפארה. אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת נסע וחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא. אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת נסע וחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. It's amazing. It's just like we were together just a few days ago. It's so lovely to kind of start the week together and then come together to close the week as well. From Monday through Friday. Welcome to our first post-High Holiday Shabbat, our first Shabbat in the new year that we get to spend together. It's good to have everyone here. And we'll start where we always start. We'll start with, entering mindfully into the space together and stepping into a different kind of awareness. I know it's perhaps just another Zoom call, but it's not. This is stepping together into sacred space. Actually, sacred space, as you will uncover, is our theme for tonight. We're leaving mundane consciousness to enter into the Shabbat consciousness. It says in our tradition that when we enter into Shabbat, we are gifted an extra soul, which literally means that we are gifted the ability to transcend the soul that we understand as the nefesh, the body-mind soul with which we function during the week. And on Shabbat, there is a possibility to ascend and transcend the nefesh, almost the animal soul, the body-mind soul, and to reach to the higher levels of connection with spirit, with the force, with life, with a capital L, with the universe. And so we take a couple breaths. to let go of the day, to let go perhaps of all that we had to do to get to today all week long. Our traditions calls the days as they are moving towards Shabbat. Every day, whatever we do, we are getting closer to Shabbat. From Sunday to Friday. Everything is with the kavanah, the aiming for the day of rest, the day of resouling, the day of really reconnecting with our true nature, our true being. And sacred space is a place devoid of fear. Sacred space is a space devoid of threats. Sacred space is a place where no one is here to sell us anything. Sacred space is a place where all that is required is that we show up with an open heart and bring who we are to the moment. That's all that is asked of us. This month, those of us who follow the Talmud know that what we are studying is Eruvim. It's the tractate in the Talmud that talks about, in fact, creating sacred space for Shabbat. It's very intricate and complex and beautiful. And so I'm extremely mindful these days in the ways that I try to create sacred space in all the places that I show up. And oftentimes it's just about looking from a different place, just appreciating the moment from a different place, not being lost in my thoughts, but being mindful of my breath and what is here. The second way to enter into Shabbat is to do tzedakah, to give not really charity, although that's one translation, but through our giving of the abundance in our life, the overflowing of abundance in our life, however small that might be. We share an act of justice. That's really the truest translation of tzedakah. An act of justice. And justice comes when we work together towards equality. This month for another month, literally for another month, we have dedicated your tzedakah to the Urban League of Metropolitan Seattle. It's an organization that empowers African Americans as well as other communities of color to thrive by securing not just educational but also economic opportunities. And its mission is furthered through advocacy and programming, outreach, coalition building. So you can find on our website the link to give to tzedakah. You don't have to do it right now. You can do it Sunday, you can do it anytime. But it's important that we continue to give and support those communities that have been, the politically correct is underserved, but it's worse than that. And so it's part of doing justice to share of our wealth and abundance. And the last thing we do, which I'm going to invite all of you to do now as Diana leads us into a Sim Shalom, which is on page 30 in your prayer booklet, is to light your Shabbat candles.
Sim Shalom Tova Uvracha, Sim Shalom Tova Uvracha, Chen v'chesed v'rachamim, Sim Shalom Tova Uvracha, שים שלום טובה וברכה, חן וחסד ורחמים. שים שלום טובה וברכה, שים שלום טובה וברכה, חן וחסד ורחמים.
So I hope you had the chance to light your candles. We're going to give Diana just a second to light hers since she was singing while we were lighting our candles. In the meantime, there are several of you who have emailed the office to share with us what you would be lighting your candles for on this Shabbat. Linda Morris, Shabbat Shalom, Linda, I know you're here, is lighting a candle to honor her father, Paul Borstein, on his 22nd yard site. Everybody loved Porky, his preferred nickname. He could always make us laugh, even when times were tough, and taught us to have love and compassion for everyone. Amen. Celia is lighting candles tonight, celebrating the closing and the selling of her condo. So congratulations. I know it was a nail biter, but I'm glad it all worked out in the end. Sherry Schmody is lighting a candle tonight in memory of her mother, Betty Schmody, on also her 22nd yard site. Bernice Tasman Diaz is lighting a candle this evening celebrating her recently becoming a member of the Bet Alef family and joining our spiritual community. So welcome, Bernice. I don't know if Bernice, let me see if she's on the call tonight. Bernice, if you are, can you unmute yourself? I don't think she is.
Yes, I'm here. I'm here.
Yeah, good. Let me find you. Here you are. We're going to spotlight you for just a second. You know, we don't see each other, so it's the first time. And it's nice to have you. Welcome to our community.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
when we finally get to be together, we'll make sure to give you a big hug. Welcome to Bet Alef.
Thank you. Wonderful.
Shelly Cohen is also lighting a candle tonight, acknowledging our beloved Rebbe, that must be someone we know, on his amazing column in this issue of Real Change News. The topic is on the high holidays. You know, because in between everything else, I wrote a column for Real Change. You know, that's, you know, keeping my priorities straight. And speaking of my priorities straight, I'm lighting a candle or two tonight to express my most sincere gratitude for all the wonderful messages that have flooded my inbox today after the video that I posted last night. I appreciate your love and your support, all of you, and it's just such a blessing to be part of our community and to be one among all of you. And thank you. I also wanted to say, some of you might not have listened carefully, but I'm not leaving quite yet. I will find out later toward the end of the year when is a good time for me to travel to France and be with my mother and visit my father. But right now I'm here. The earliest I might leave would be probably mid to end of December. So I'll keep you all posted. But I saw in some emails people wishing me already safe travel, but I'm still here. I'm still here for a little while. I wouldn't leave before November 3rd for sure. Carol is lighting also candles in memory of her father, whose also 22nd yard site is tomorrow. And Ellen Lyons is lighting in honor of the birth of her new honorary nephew, Daniel Evtimov, in Bulgaria. Wonderful. Wonderful. The blessing is, as always, on page 1 of your prayer book. I'm going to turn toward the candle and cover my eyes. We cover our eyes because that which we are blessing isn't the candle. The light it represents is the light of Shabbat, the light that we seek to awaken to within us, the Shabbat consciousness, that extra soul that we need, that we yearn to touch. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu להדליק נר של שבת. Amen. And we continue with the worship part of our Shabbat service tonight with the Baruch Hu on page 5. And we're going to do the way we did it for the High Holy Days. I'm going to ask you to unmute yourselves for the Hebrew and the English when we say it together, and then to mute yourselves again, or I will mute everybody, and Diana will lead us in the song. So unmute yourselves if you could, so that you can join me in the Hebrew and the English. And we bow just wherever we are. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Bless the Eternal, the one who is blessing. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Blessed is the Eternal, the one who is blessing eternally. This time we'll only do it once. We continue on page 6 with the words of the Shema, the central affirmation of our tradition. And once again, I'm going to ask you to, in order to join me, to say together the Hebrew and the English. Shema Israel, Adonai Elohim, Adonai
God.
Listen,
Israel,
the eternal manifest of all that is. The eternal is one. Baruch Le'olam Va'ed.
Shalom Va'ed.
Blessed is the name. The splendor of its presence shines eternally. And Celia will lead us into the singing.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
And we continue with the words that follow the Shema in Torah. All of those words are part of the book of Deuteronomy. And the words that follow the call to oneness in Torah are words that call upon us to open our hearts and to fall in love with everything. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך. ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. אמת. So tonight we actually, as I will talk about in just a moment, we mark the beginning of the holiday of Sukkot. And the holiday of Sukkot invites us to dwell in sacred space for 8 days. So the song that we are sharing right now is exactly that invitation. It is on top of page 30 in your prayer book, and it's called Shifti Beveit Adonai. I dwell in the house of the One, the Beit Aleph, the house of the One, all the days of my life.
Shifti beveit Adonai kol yemei chayai. Shifti beveit Adonai kol yemei chayai. Kol yemei chayai. Kol yemei chayai. Shifti beveit Adonai kol yemei chayai. One thing I ask of the One, only that do I seek, to dwell in the house of the One, all the days of my life. All the days of my life, all the days of my life, to dwell in the house of the One, all the days of my life. Shifti beveit Adonai kol yemei chayai. Shifti beveit Adonai kol yemei chayai. Kol yemei chayai. Kol yemei chayai. Shifti beveit Adonai kol yemei chayai.
I love that song. So like I just said, tonight marks the beginning of the holiday of Sukkot. Jews all over the world sat for the first night in their sukkah tonight, and some are probably sleeping in their sukkah because that's what you're supposed to do. But this is the first year since I started coming to Bet Aleph 22 years ago. 22 years ago. There's a lot of 22 tonight, it feels like. 22. What's the gematria for 22? Chaf, bet chaf, bach, becha, bach. That means within you. Maybe there is an invitation to turn within on this Shabbat. 22. Interesting. Anyways, I started to come to Bet Aleph 22 years ago, and this is the first year that that we are not able to gather together in our community's sukkah due to obviously COVID-19. But that doesn't mean that we can share in the teachings that a sukkah is meant to evoke in us. So for those of you who might not know, a sukkah is a fragile dwelling structure, like a booth, that we set up outside and into which our tradition has it, we are supposed to have every meal through the next 8 days, and even sleep there every night. It's obviously a little easier to do that when you live in Israel or in warm climates. Nevertheless, some people, even here in the Northwest, chance it and follow that injunction. Historically, these sukkot, that's the plural of sukkah, the sukkot were portable dwelling structures, which at the time, and we're talking biblical time, at the time of the fall harvest in biblical time, farmers would come together and sleep into those structures, those large booths, and then transport them from field to field around the village, around the community, in order to help each other during the fall harvest. The fall harvest has a very short window, and therefore everybody kind of pulled together historically, and everybody kind of harvested everybody's field at that time of the year. And so sitting underneath such an ancient camping booth, as we normally do, and sharing a meal with friends, you really can't help it but feel part of like a 3,000-year unbroken cultural link through time. You can't help but know yourself in that space, in that structure, to be wrapped into the arms of this most sacred space. There is a beauty to it. There is a feeling to it that is undescribable. But once the land, the agricultural land, the land of Israel was lost and exile befell our people, our rabbis had to transform what was this agrarian celebration into what needed now to be a transportable celebration that they anchored not in an agrarian holiday, but in a biblical holiday. Because the Torah is what we could carry with us in through the lands of our exile. And so we needed to reshape our holidays with what we had available. And so it was fitting now that our sukkah, which followed us in exile, became seen as the quintessential traveling structure. But now, especially because of the exile, the rabbis taught that the sukkah reminded us of those booths, those structures our biblical ancestors were dwelling in during our 40 years of wandering in the biblical desert. And so their wandering became our worldwide wandering through our exile, and the sukkah came to symbolize both our attachment to a land that was now lost and the temporary, precarious, easily uprooted and flimsy dwelling that our exile truly represented. Now, these past 4 years have, to say the least, made this teaching, I believe, not just relevant, to our circumstances, but terribly, terribly present. Our sense of security as Jews living in this country has been, to say the least, eroded. The structure of the Jewish institutional presence in the US that we thought so solid and deep-rooted after 300 plus years of Jews being in this land has revealed itself to be more like a sukkah than a fort. And staring now down the possibility of another 4 years, we know it is no longer the rise of anti-Semitism that we will be talking about and deploring. It will be an unleashed, unrestrained violence of neo-Nazi white supremacists that might transform what has been a safe haven in exile for our people here into another hellscape that we might not be able to withstand. And we have to always remember and keep in mind that the golden age of Spain, also 300 plus years old, ended that abruptly in 1492. And the greatest, most advanced, most educated republic in the world at the time became in just a few years a death trap to the German Jews merely 85 years ago. And I remember reading during my rabbinic training years the German rabbis at the time urging their followers in their Friday night talk or in their Jewish local newspaper to trust the institution of the German Republic, to trust their fellow citizens and not fear the dark clouds that were gathering all around them. They really did that. They really wrote that. And I can tell you right now, I will not be one of those rabbis. We Jews in exile have perhaps forgotten that we indeed live in a sukkah, that we have always lived in a sukkah, that our dwellings are only temporary, always precarious and flimsy and easily uprooted. The events merely 1 month ahead of us will be a turning point for our people here. Which brings me back to a teaching that I shared with you on Yom Kippur. I think it was during our Yizkor service when I spoke about living in the sacred instead of the profane. Because all this hatred, all this othering, is fueled by fear, fueled by the false sense of separation that alienates us from one another. This is the profane space, which our identification with ego reduces us to, shrinks us to. The one where we build fortresses of self in defense from another self and from the world around us. But the entirety of Jewish practice aims at transforming the profane into the sacred, aims at tearing the veils of separation that hide the sacred waiting to be uncovered just beneath the surface. Our tradition aims to usher in an olam shekulo Shabbat, a world where every day is Shabbat, where time and space and all human and non-human lives are known as sacred, as holy, as inextricably intertwined as one. Our tradition invites us with every blessing, with every prayer, with every moment of mindfulness to tear down the fortresses of fear and hatred and invite everyone to dwell together in God's sukkah. Because life itself is a sukkah. I know from experience. It's a flimsy, precarious, temporary booth that wraps itself around us like the wings of the Shekhinah, reminding us that it is indeed its flimsiness, its breathtaking flittingness that makes it all the more sacred. May we all be the conduits through our actions and through our words that will bring about the transformation of awareness toward a world shekulo Shabbat, a world that has finally attained Shabbat consciousness. Ken yehi ratzon. And we will say, Amen. On page 31, another song inviting us into the sukkah. Ve'asu li mikdash. And let them carve for me a holy place, a sacred space within their heart, within their soul, that I, the Holy One, might dwell within. I'd like to invite everyone, all of you, to a few moments of meditation tonight. To gently close our eyes. And to move our attention away from the thoughts or the outer world and turn our attention inwardly, gazing into the heart, feeling into the sensations of the breath as it comes in, as it goes out. And to take a few seconds to see if we can release any tension anywhere on the body, especially around the belly and the face. To let the face completely relax. And we'll enter into this meditation as we will leave this meditation with a threefold Shalom chant. Letting the body find again after the Shalom chant the natural breath, the natural rhythm of the body breathing in and out. Opening our heart to our heart. Opening our heart to ourselves. Creating spaciousness to hold ourselves, to gently embrace ourselves. Like a meditative hug. We have gone through so much. All is swirling around us. All is quite destabilizing. And so from time to time, it is good to just let go of all that whirlwind of the outer world. To drop it, to just put it down for just a few moments. And to hold ourselves with loving kindness, with compassion. To breathe and release perhaps the anger, definitely the stress that we might have been holding on to for so long. And just to hold ourselves with, I would say, warm regard. To be so gentle, so understanding. We want to be so inclusive of other, so welcoming of other. We dedicate our life to living this way, and we forget ourselves sometimes. Rabbi Hillel said, Im ein ani li mili, if I don't care for myself, who will? If I don't nurture my soul, my spirit, if I don't tend to my heart, to my emotional body, who will? So dwell in the sukkah. of yourself. Feel yourself wrapped into the wing of the Shekhinah, which is what the Sukkah is sometimes called, understood to be. Betzel knafecha, from in the shadow of your wing, of the divine feminine presence, the Great Mother. That we might heal, that we might ground ourselves anew, that we might know our worthiness, our holiness, Sukkah as we might be, we too are a sacred space, a sacred container for the presence of the One. So breathe. Breathe mindfully. And direct your embrace, your inclusiveness, your acceptance toward yourself tonight. You deserve it. You need it. And be the most gorgeous sukkah that you can be in all your flimsiness, in all your precariousness. You are holy. You are sacred. You are loved. And may the healing we have gifted ourselves through this meditation reverberate beyond our homes, and reach into our neighborhoods, in our city, in our cities, in our county, our region, our nation, our world. That all those we know, all those we don't know, gorgeous Sukkot, each and every one of them, might wake up to the sacredness of their being as well. That they might know true healing, true peace, and wholeness. On this Shabbat, we hold in light of healing those you have inscribed on our healing list. Craig Wilson, Danielle Clark, Hillary Wilson, Phyllis Levin and Mike Levin, Farhan Hassan, Yitzhak Leib, Ben Bertha ve'Aharon, Dave Malkoff, Maxwell Bernard, Susanna Davis, David Mark, Rebecca Risman, Richard Aaron Ben Chaim, Stanley Safrin, Lee Shanen, Pauline Morris, Jerry Sanderson, Pam Heller, Noah Etzioni, Lori Baff, Margaret Bergman Ness, Peter Metzger, Dov Lehavi, Susan Fish, Elizabeth Heath, John Dorshak, Louise Mangan, Mobeen Butte, Liz Spiegel, Pat Hoagland, Carrie Fisher, Danny, Trevor and Eric, Martin Yenti. And we name in our hearts the names of those we ourselves hold in light of healing. Misheberach Avotenu Avram Yitzchak v'Yaakov, Misheberach Imotenu Sarah Rivka Lea ורחל, שהוא יברך וירפא את כל אלה שהזכרנו הרגע, ברפואה שלמה, רפואת הנפש ורפואת הגוף. אמן. And we continue on page 34 with Misheberach.
Avraham, Yitzchak veYaakov, Misheberach Imotenu, Sarah, Rivka, Leah v'Rachel. May the one who blessed our mothers, may the one who blessed our fathers, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless them as well. Bless them with a vision for tomorrow. Help us to reach out to those in pain. May the one heal our sorrows, bring us grace, show us the way. Misheberach Imotenu, Misheberach Avotenu, hear our prayer. as well. Hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as
We are on page 13 in your prayer book, as we are about to share in the Mourner's Kaddish together. But before we do so, we take a moment to open our hearts and minds to the memories we all carry with us. Memories of those who have journeyed with us on this level of consciousness, but are continuing now beyond on their journey. Their source, our source, is our destination as well. On this Shabbat, we hold in light of memory those who have made their transition in recent days and weeks. Hirsch Simon, Susan Hoffman's friend. Dr. Dejo Schuler, a family friend of the Sieglers. On the Shabbat, we also hold in light of memory those who have made their transition in the past year. Marty Leiser, Becky Ben, Martin Amadeus Russert, Don Krupkin, Pamela Mary Balch, Emma Norton, John Philip Balch, Teddy Freeman, Virginia Calvo, Marcia Jaffe, Lawton Waples, Millard Petersky, Deborah Batts, Marion Marika Gordon, Stella Altwies, Mary Rose, Dan Klein, Eleanor Gerber, Charlotte Klein, Alberta Hitzroth, Avram Ben Moshe Veshendel, Marlene Klein, Mary Squeeze, Team Shot Janine Gilbert, Imogen Williams, Eldon Olson, Don Worms, Emily Swartz, Dr. Carol Stanley, Robert White, David Heitmiller, Dr. Agnes Schuler, Ronald Green, on the Shabbat, we also hold in light of memory those whose yahrzeit happens at this time of the year. Ali Kalish, Clarence Brown, Gail Hart, Irvin Wiseman, Judith Bergman, Ken Sugg, Kenneth Klein, Mickey Borowski Stern, Paul Borstein, and Betty Schmody. And we name in our hearts the names of those each of us remembers on this night. and we share together the Mourner's Kaddish. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון, ובחיי בכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך לעלם ולעלמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי לקודשה ברכו. לאלה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירן בעלמא, ואמרו אמן. יש למה רבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום, עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ועל כל יושבי תבל, ואמרו אמן. May the one who creates harmony above make peace for us, for all the household of Israel, and for all the peoples of the world. And let us say, Amen. So before we close with our Kiddush and our Motzi, just a couple things to remind you. First of all, I hope you had the chance to look at the newsletter this week. You received it, I believe, Thursday morning. It might still be in your inbox. But somewhere, if you scroll a little bit, if you scroll down a little bit, you'll find a little video there. Not the one I sent on Thursday night, but the one that was embedded in the newsletter, which is, how do you call this? The outtakes, the bloopers of the musicians recording themselves for the High Holy Days. If you haven't had the chance, it's just a couple minutes, but it's really hilarious. And it shows the hard work, actually, that went into creating those great little videos of all the music for the High Holidays. So, wherever that email is, find it and delight in that little video. We have Torah study tomorrow. We actually continue, I think, for at least another session to study Pirkei Avot, the ethics of the fathers, and we are actually going to discuss tomorrow that quote from Hillel, Im ein ani li mili, if I am not for myself, who will be for me? But if I'm only for myself, what am I? And if not now, when? It is in Pirkei Avot, and that is what we are opening with tomorrow morning. So it's at 10:30. In the newsletter was the link for that as well, and you're welcome to join us. That is actually not going to be live streamed on Facebook, so you're going to have the link. And we have a week from tomorrow, Saturday night next week, our Simchat Torah celebration to really close and finalize the High Holy Days. So mark your calendars. We'll send a reminder email probably midweek, Saturday night, October 10th. Join us on Zoom again for Simchat Torah. Okay, I hope that gave you all the time you needed to find your challah. I know I found mine. I always like to have my challah cover from my ordination. I still have it. June 2009. We were young then. And if you don't have a challah, I'm going to put mine right here so you can touch the challah through the screen. Oh, no, wait a minute. I'm doing it in the wrong order, see? And I haven't had wine yet. So we have to start with the Kiddush. So hopefully find your wine, find your Kiddush cup. What happened to you, Rabbi? I don't know. Forget about that raise. Not going to happen this year. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, bore peri hagafen. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kideshanu b'mitzvotav, v'ratzavanu, b'shabbat kodsho, be'ahava u'vratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit, כי הוא יום תחילה למקרא קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת, ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. Amen. L'chaim. To life, l'chaim. That was Purim, but it was a few years ago. All right, now we can do the challah thing. So touch with me the challah, or if you have yours. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Delicious. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. We're going to close our Shabbat together with our traditional Osei Shalom, Chag Sukkot Sameach, if you have an opportunity to celebrate, and Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Good to have you all here.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, everyone.
Shalom.
Thank you, everyone.
Take
Take
care.
care.
Take care.
Have a great week.
Beautiful service.
Beautiful service. Yes.
Could I just ask, I'm sorry, what was the video that Rabbi Olivier sent out last night? Not the blooper video, but the one you just referenced at the beginning?
I can tell you in a moment. I'll
Oh,
tell you
okay,
in a moment.
great.
Just stay on.
Okay.
Stay here.
Okay.
Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.